Good morning. I want to welcome you to Game Changers Devotional. I want to remind you that the devotional is not associated with any company, institution, or denomination. If you'd like to invite somebody, I encourage you to send on our text message reminder that we send out on Tuesday evenings, or you can have them type in the word Game Changer and text it to 474747. I lost my train of thought. Boy, that's real good for the first day of vacation. If you know somebody that you think would benefit from getting on the call and jumping on with us, don't hesitate to let them know. A lot of times people get on here and not expecting to receive anything, and something speaks to them, and it makes a big difference for their week. So if the Lord's leading you to invite somebody, I encourage you to do that. I'm going to turn it over to Jacob James, and he'll lead our devotional today.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. I originally had I don't know if Chad and Heidi are on the phone, but they're partners with me at our church, and my wife as well. And we went through an entire month of talking to teenagers about this book of Daniel. And I originally really wanted to talk to you guys about Daniel because it's such an inspiring story. It's really a story about a man that had just courageous faith in a time of moral compromise. And often you hear in the Bible how, the Bible's not relevant to today. I mean, what does the Bible have to do with me today, at my job, in my neighborhood, in my everyday life? And yet this story had everything to do with today. And it'll have everything to do with 100 years from now. Because the things that Daniel dealt with, we deal with every day. And Daniel, as a Christian person, was put into a culture that was hostile to his beliefs. And how do you handle that? I mean, how do you live out your faith? How do you live out your convictions when the culture is running as fast away from God as it possibly can? And people get mad. If I want to sin and you don't like my sin, they're mad about that. And there's things in our life that challenge us. And Daniel had to face those things face to face, and he did it with such courageous faith. And he held on to his convictions no matter the consequences. And so I was going to talk about Daniel and some of that and how it relates, because he went through a lot, and we go through a lot. And while we were doing this study with these teenagers, a friend of mine called me, and he said, I had to do something I never had to do at my job, ever. I was told to lie, just bold-faced lie, and by his manager. And the manager spent it as the right thing to do for the right reason, to lie, just to fabricate a report that would benefit the company and the customer. And Daniel went through the same thing. And my wife, at her school, the laws have changed to where she can't go in and tell people about Jesus. She can't read Bible scripture. She can't pray with the class. You can't do that anymore. And our culture has changed the definition of marriage from the biblical definition. So how do you deal with that? And Daniel dealt with a lot of that. So originally that was what I was going to talk about, but I changed it this morning. So, 4 years ago, I read the Bible for the first time all the way through. I'd usually get bits and pieces of it when I went to church, and my mind was probably on football or who knows what, hunting, and all that. But 4 years ago, my life changed when I read the Bible, and I did it with a class of people at our church, which made a huge difference. So if your church ever offers that and you have a group of people you can read the Bible together with, I totally encourage that. But one of my goals is I wanted to grow closer with my wife. I mean, who in the world could better walk with me than my very own wife? And I had never prayed with my wife. Yes, we said God is good, God is great at the dinner table, but I wanted a meaningful relationship where we could pray together, where we can do devotionals together. And man, it changed our relationship so mightily. I can't even tell you how much. And so just the other day, she and I did a devotional, and we kind of got away from it when she got out of school in summertime, and we weren't doing the devotional. And so we started back. She started back school, and I started back doing the devotional with her. The verse that we focused on was The eyes of the Lord search the whole earth in order to strengthen those hearts who are fully committed to him. And it's kind of like in the time of Daniel when people were turning away, God was looking for just one person to be fully committed to him. And so I talked about that with my wife. And here's what we talked about, and what I told her, is today you can be committed to the Lord just by saying, Father, I love you. And I thank you for loving me. And help me to be a blessing to the other people so that they see you through me. And what I told my wife is that I wanted to thank her for being a blessing to me and my kids. And so this past weekend, my wife toted our 2 kids around to all the different activities they have. And then in between that, she washed all our clothes. She washed all the seats. She put all the beds together. She cleaned the kitchen. She unloaded the dishwasher. She did all these things just tirelessly laboring. And then on Sunday night, I said, hey, can you come sit back on the back porch with me just for a minute, just so we can hold hands and talk? And that's all. And she said, I will, but I've got one more thing to do. And she ironed the kids' clothes for the week and had all their clothes set out for this entire week. And I wanted her to know how amazed I am at how she is committed to taking care of our family. And it meant a lot to me. And I just told her that I loved her and that how God strengthens her to do that, to care for us the way she does. And often that is overlooked by me and by other people. When you take care of your family, that brings honor to God. And she said, you don't know how much I needed to hear that. That just changed the whole outlook of my day when you said that to me. And because, sometimes as a parent or as a wife, it can become discouraging and it can become hard. And really what she was doing is she was being the hands of God for our family, taking care of us, and that brings honor to God. And I heard this story the other day from a man. His name is Park York, and he's dealing with something that my family's dealt with. And he has a wife. Her name is Flossie, and I can't forget that name because I've never heard a person named Flossie. But he has a wife named Flossie. The past 8 years, Flossie he's been taking care of Flossie because she has Alzheimer's. And, he said, we found out in my late 50s going into my 60s that she had Alzheimer's. And, he said at first it was just minor things. She was really agitated, restless, defensive, constantly tired. She couldn't hold a conversation. And finally I said, man, this just isn't her. And he said, I took her to the doctor, and they diagnosed her with Alzheimer's, and it changed my life. He said, at first I tried to keep working because I had a full-time job, and he took her to what he called, an adult daycare center, basically. And she kept running away and just wasn't working out there. And he said, finally, I had to resign myself to retiring from my job early and becoming a full-time caretaker for my wife. And he said, recently, after 8 years, it's just taken a toll on him. He said, every day I wake up and my job is I feed her, I bathe her, put diapers on her, change her bed, I clean the house, I fix meals, I dress her, I undress her, and I just do whatever a nurse and a homemaker does, morning after morning, night after night. And it's gotten to the point where she can't even hardly mumble a word anymore. Just occasionally she'll come up and say one word to him. But he said last Friday he was actually taking care of her. He said I give her a shake every morning. I gave her some apple juice. I was touching her arms. I was caressing her forehead and her cheeks. And most of the time her eyes are closed, but today she opened her eyes. And he was saying she looked at him, and suddenly out of her mouth she uttered 4 words. And they were just in perfect enunciation, and they were softly said. And she looked at him in his eyes, and she said, do you want me? Do you want me? And he said, of course, Flossie, I want you. And he kissed her and he held her. And then he said, you know what? There's so many people right now in this world, right now, that are struggling with sin, shackled by it, addictions, hunger, thirst, mental illness, physical pain, and they want to know, do you want me? God, do you want me? Does anybody want me? Does somebody want to care for me? And he realized that moment, and he told, and he knew that Flossie wouldn't understand this. He knew that she wouldn't, but he said, it's going to be difficult, Flossie, for you to understand, but that's why I'm here. I'm here today to minister God's love to you, to bring you wholeness, to bring you comfort, to bring you release. And I think about my wife, and she comforts us every day and takes care of us. And this gentleman gave up everything. He said it was it's supposed to be the golden era of my life where I'm traveling with my wife. I'm enjoying my grandchildren. I'm getting to see things and go places. But yet God gave me a bigger task and a better task, and I'll have eternal rewards. And I'm able to show Flossie how much I love her. And so I hope someday, I'm never in that position, but I do want to care for my wife. I certainly know that she'll care for me. And Daniel the prophet lived in a time of moral compromise where nobody was going in the direction he was going, yet he changed people's hearts because he was God's hands. And so I challenge you guys and me, being a game changer for the Lord is sometimes look outside of your everyday life and say, how can I change for somebody else? How can I do something for somebody else and be an ultimate game changer? And so really this call, if my wife gets to hear it, because she likes to listen to the recordings, is just to know that I love her and I appreciate her. And I thank her for some of the things that she does that gets overlooked, so that God gives honor to him. Michael, you want to finish this in a quick prayer?
Sure. Dear Lord, I thank you so much for the devotional this morning, and I thank you for the reminder that our spouses do a lot for us, dear God. I just pray that you would continue to open my eyes to look around at the people that are taking care of loved ones, that are their caregiver, dear God, and how that sometimes they're doing so much for them, for their loved one, that they're taken out of the normal loop of life. And I pray that you would just give me an open heart to seek out those people and to love them and let them know that I see what they're doing and you see what they're doing. I just pray that you would be with us as we go through the rest of our week, dear God. Help us to be aware and open to the Holy Spirit, leading us to do things for people and to say those little things that person may need. Keep us all safe, dear God, as we travel and we do our jobs. And I just pray that you would be with us until we meet again next week. These things I ask in your name.